been wondering whether or not you are familiar with the fact that Ohio recently underwent a peer review of its drilling practices and hydraulic fracturing processes. It was a review that was done by a number of environmental regulators, not from the state of Ohio, but from outside the state of Ohio, people in the industry, and even the, I believe, current president, well, at that time, president of NeoGaf. And the study, the results were that Ohio has an exemplary program, and we are very well positioned in hydraulic fracturing to cover all the elements and bases. I didn't know whether you were familiar with that, or whether or not the review is the stronger review, and whether they had such a thing in Texas.
Well, I'm not familiar with the review, and we didn't have the same thing in Texas. You don't tell us how to drill wells. We've been doing this for 100 years.
Well,
so,
we've been doing it for 150.
And so that's kind of the theory in Texas. And I'm not involved in the legislature in Columbus, so I'm not familiar with the studies that you're talking about. So without that, it would be a little challenging for me to comment on them.
No, but it was a review, like I said, a peer review of people from outside the state that came in and reviewed the regulations, and they found them exemplary. I have another question about your friend who had the drilling on his property, and he said the realtor didn't tell him. Did he have a title search done on his property before he purchased it?
Yeah, he did, and the title search showed that he didn't have the minerals. And but what does that mean?
Well, it means he doesn't have the minerals.
Right.
He doesn't have the right to control what will happen on the property. That is a problem with severed estates. And it's mostly coal that things are severed from in Ohio, not so much oil and gas, but coal.
Shouldn't you own your surface though?
Well, in Texas, they have the right to get their minerals. And that's the way the law reads. And the mineral property is the dominant property in Texas. And so some of our legislatures believe that the surface is only there so they can get the minerals. And so you don't really have that right. And, you know, maybe we should all look into that a little bit better. Maybe Tim should have done some research. Maybe he should have went and looked and seen people in Colorado that were in the movie Split Estates who talked about that. Maybe he should have done that. But his realtor told him, if you're digging in the flower bed and you hit oil, you don't get the oil. Not that a Root Petroleum can show up and take 4 acres of your property and drop your property values by 75%. And I think that that's the story that people need to hear, so that when they go and they buy a piece of surface property, they know what they're getting themselves into. They're not getting a pig in the poke. And it's happening all over the United States. There's split estates in several states. The ones that don't have split estates probably will eventually. Most of the larger property owners in Dish have moved away. They don't live in the area anymore. And so they've sold off that surface. And that's where subdivisions are going. And so maybe he should have done a little more research. But the fact of the matter is that someone wasn't fully honest with him